My angels, welcome to today's episode of Reminding Eve's podcast. I'm Autumn, your host, and it's so nice to have you here. Today I have a very special message for you about momentum. All right, so this is going to hit you if you've been in a season of surrender. So you've done your healing, you've done your waiting, you've done your studying, and you're just wondering, what is my next move? All right, this message is for you. And I'm going to start by going straight to the source, right? Following on from yesterday's episode, Ancient Wisdom on Tap, we're going right into Proverbs, okay? The king of wisdom, the king boss of business of the ancient world, Solomon himself. This is what he wrote. Proverbs 6:6, ready? Go to the ant, you sluggard. Consider its ways and be wise. It has no commander, no overseer or ruler. Yet it stores its provisions in summer and gathers its food in harvest. How long will you lie there, you sluggard? When will you get up from your sleep? A little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands, and poverty will come on you like a thief, scarcity like an armed man. I want to just suggest that this proverb is talking about someone who has no leader, no one planning their next steps, no mentor, no motivation necessarily, nothing at all. The ant is our example here. It is self-leading, it is self-governing, and creating your own momentum. We're going to talk about that today. So if you have done your studying, done your work, you've done your healing, and you're sat there in a position of what's next, you might even be asking yourself, what was all of that for? What are my options? What if you have no options in front of you that you would have hoped to have? What should I do next is the question. If you are in a state of surrender and you're almost like, I could go any direction right now, you are in a pivot moment. It's important to recognize that. And after you pivot, momentum is everything. This morning, as I was driving, I just heard the word and I thought, that's it. That's exactly the moment that I'm in. And I want to run back here and share to you guys the download that I got. Let's talk about what it's not. Momentum is not perfection. It's not clarity. And it's not certainty. Okay? Momentum is, in physics, it's weight times velocity. But in real life terms, right, in practical terms, it's the force that's created by consistent, diligent movement that begins to sustain itself. This is what the ant is doing, leading itself. All right, it's weight times direction. All right, you have experience. You have your history, you have your study, you have maybe a great character and depth of personality. But here's the question, are you moving? Right? Momentum isn't motivation. Momentum is motion. All right? And here's the interesting thing. It can come externally. Sure, it can there could be divine downloads, there can be divine directions and guidance. But what happens when there's not? Proverbs 6 is telling us what it is. Do it yourself. Self-generate momentum. Self-generate your own creative direction, right? It is glorifying to God to be obedient to a divine instruction, and it is glorifying to God equally to self-generate your own momentum forward, all right? Both are real and both are godly traits. So yeah, sometimes you're going to get that divine download and it's going to cause you to have a direct action. But most of the time, you're going to have to self-generate your motion, okay? Most of the time, you're not going to feel anything at all. And right now, the moment that you're in is about taking small, diligent steps of obedience to yourself. Each of those small steps is going to generate a velocity. It's going to generate an energy. And I'm going to tell you what's been happening with me. I'll give you a personal story. My core field is anthropological theology. So that's how we were made and what makes us tick in society. That's my training. That's what's my lane. And that's what I've been doing. Just kind of diligently showing up here and like, I'm going to teach, I'm going to do, I'm going to explore. Maybe I'll try embodying it. Maybe I'll do intuitive stuff. Maybe I'll just moving, just moving, right? Start the channel, do the thing, move. So I was set to start my master's in psychology, a very natural transition, and it kept getting bumped. And I was like, what is going on? Month by month, it just kept getting bumped up. It was really throwing my life balance off, and I couldn't figure out what was going on. So I was set to start this master's, and it makes sense, right? It builds my niche, it builds my brand. I'm interested in it. It sounds very aligned, but something has shifted, and I've been taking a step back and just tuning in to this broadcast, tuning in to my own internal compass. And what I've noticed is that what I noticed in stepping back was this other thing happening in me. If I'm being completely honest, and I will be, I've been getting fed up with spirituality. Not with truth, not with God, but with spirituality that never grounds. It never becomes practical. Okay, who cares about revelation if it doesn't build something? If spirituality cannot be embodied, if it cannot prove how we lead, work, think, build, earn, organize, what are we doing? Once I put myself in a business environment, in the health industry environment, I started noticing something. I've had some pretty bad leadership experiences in my life. So I'm fascinated with leadership dynamics, how authority shapes culture, how systems shape behavior, how belief shapes output. And suddenly my brain lit up. I went home and I started mapping out a whole new coaching system. How do spiritual principles translate into leadership behavior? How do internal beliefs become external results? How do we change the seed so we change the fruit? I go on and on about that in my personal life. My friends hear me talking about that. My family hears me talking about that. But then came a bigger pivot. Instead of continuing into psychology, which is a strength for me, I looked at my weakest muscle: business, systems, scaling. And yet these are the very things that I'm interested in. You know, if there's one thing that even my biggest enemy would have to admit about me, is that I am constantly changing. I'm so interested in personal transformation, in leveling up, in integrity and honesty, and just becoming the best version of myself in order to glorify God in this earth as possible. So I made a kind of radical decision, you guys. It surprised even me. I am starting an MBA. Never mind the psychology, ring, ring. We're not doing that anymore. Okay? Not because it's safer, not because it's easier for sure, but because it's gonna stretch me and grow me. And that's where the momentum was at. If I paused too long, if I had slipped into overthinking, then I would have killed my own momentum, because overthinking is often just fear dressed up as wisdom. Sometimes the most dangerous thing that you can do after the pivot is to hesitate. Really important. Let me say that again. The most dangerous thing you can do after a pivot is to hesitate. All right. Hesitation is going to drain your energy, and draining your energy is going to kill the momentum. And energy, your bravery, your diligence, your obedience to yourself, your trust in yourself and your intuition is exactly what momentum feeds upon. So is this my final destiny, business? No, I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. That's not the point. The point is that I would rather jump in and follow the flow, right? The living current, than to sit and study a dry, old river. Here's what I want you to hear. Clarity does not precede momentum. Momentum precedes clarity. Okay? You're not going to get the master map and plan. You get one step at a time, one step at a time. And then you suddenly look back and you realize you're somewhere entirely new. And that's exciting. And for somebody like me, and probably you, if you're watching this channel, my biggest fear is if I could close my eyes and see 2 years in the future and I'm the same person doing the same thing, that's pretty scary. And more than that, I think it's bad stewardship of your life. So let me say something that might sound pretty strong, but it's my new conviction and I'm walking in it. Spirituality without embodiment is just noise. Okay, revelation without action is self-indulgent, and I have seen many, many people camp out on that site. Am I right? If what you believe can't translate into how you work, how you parent, how you create, how you lead, how you earn, then it hasn't integrated yet. And maybe that's your pivot. Maybe the pivot isn't away from truth, but it's towards embodying the truth that we preach, right? So here's the question I want to leave you with today. What is the one thought that keeps coming back to your mind? It's circling you. Okay, what is the idea that keeps tapping you on the shoulder? And what does it look like to take one step towards that thought, that idea? Not 10 steps, just one step. So send the email, right? Change your environment, buy the book, go to a meeting, make a meeting happen, ask some questions, okay? Momentum is not built on leaps. It's built on repeated obedience, one baby step after another. If you don't feel motivated, create it. That is the secret of the ant. You can self-generate momentum. That's the big secret. Discipline produces energy. Action produces confidence. Movement produces clarity. Let me say it again. Movement produces clarity. Testifying here to my own recent experience, okay? My movements are creating my clarity. And if I fail, at least I'm moving. At least I know how to move and keep moving. I'm not going to get stuck, which is infinitely better than staying stagnant. So maybe 2026 is the season when we stop perfecting and we start building, when we ride the momentum that we self-generate. Don't wait until you're certain. Move and let the movement reveal the map. All right? We're going to go on this journey together. I'm so excited, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Mwah. Love you.